we created this like out of the ground. And so this is actually the world premiere performance. So we're really excited about that. I couldn't be proud, it's like such a cool thing. We're good to go. So also a performance like this, it would not be possible without some very, 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 very generous people backing us. And I'd like to thank the Alfred Z. Solomon Trust for their major support of the project. If we could give them a nice round of applause for that. Also, the Arts and Education here at Lake Avenue also paid for a generous portion of this, so thank you for giving us a portion of that. I'd also give a personal thank you to Lynn Gelber for bringing this. I'm not sure where you are, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here right now. She was the one that started this idea, brought us into that. Thank you for letting us be the pilot program, and we do hope this is the start of a beautiful relationship, and other schools in the district will be able to take part, and also in the area. I'd also like to thank the entire Saratoga Chamber Players Board for the encouragement of the project throughout. I know there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work happening, so thank you for that. Last but not least, it was just making me realize as I'm looking, we have these 3 professional musicians up on the stage that are actually performing with us. This is not a usual opportunity, and we're really, really thrilled to have this. So I'd like to introduce, we have Sue Rotholz on the flute. We have Jill Levy on the violin. And Eliot Bailen on the cello, guitar, and he's also our composer. Thank you so much for everything you've done, and with that, we'll now begin The Little Prince and the Planet of Music. Once upon a time, there was a little prince. The little prince loved to travel through the universe on his little yellow plane. He visited many planets, each one with a new adventure, and each time with a valuable life lesson. His traveling companion was his friend, the red fox, who also served as his guide, because he was very wise, as most foxes are.
Go.
one day, he stumbled across the most unusual planet. It was dark and gray, and something was blocking the sun from shining through. The little prince's curiosity drew him in closer, and he decided to go to that planet. When he arrived, he discovered that the planet appeared to be so closed off. Similar to that of the moon, there was no way in. Everything was so very quiet and still. Said the little prince. Why is this planet so quiet and still, and why is there no way in? The little prince walked along and stumbled across a sign posted in the sand. It read, "To enter this land, go search in the sand. Oh, it would be grand to strike up the band." The little prince, who enjoyed a good riddle, said, "Fox, I do not have a shovel. Would you use your paws to dig in the sand? We are looking for something that would make a band start playing." Fox kept digging and digging until he found a thin, pointy object. It was a conductor's baton with a scroll of paper tightly wound around it. The little prince unraveled the scroll and read, "Now go to the moat and get in the boat. The rest stays afloat until you find its equal note." The rest stays afloat. The little prince looked at the giant object floating above the planet. To his surprise, he realized that it looked exactly like the whole rests he learned about. His friend Fox had attempted to teach him how to play music on a little wooden recorder they found during one of their adventures. The little prince thought to himself, I preferred when those whole rests appeared, because that would mean silence from those long whole notes that would be so high, squeaky, and shrill. Wait, that's it. We need to find a whole note because it is worth 4 beats of sound, where its partner, the whole rest, is worth 4 beats of silence, exclaimed the little prince. Orchestra, can you help us find a whole note? Try, but actually those sounded like 16th notes to me. Can you guys try again? floating hole rest. The little prince and Red Fox walked toward it, and sure enough, there was a little wooden rowboat waiting for them. They both stepped inside, careful not to tip it. The little prince picked up the oars and started to row. How will this boat help us to find the correct note? I don't even see any notes, Fox, said the little prince. Fox, being as wise as foxes are, spoke to the little prince. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. The little prince replied, "Oh, Fox, I am confused because a heart doesn't have any eyes. How can I see with it?" The fox said, "Put down the oars, place your hands over your heart, and close your eyes. Now, think of the one thing you love the most." Did as he was told, and immediately his thoughts went to his precious rose. Before he learned to travel, he had spent all his time on his original home planet, watering, pruning, and nurturing his beautiful friend. It was the rose who encouraged him to become curious about the universe and take adventures. The thoughts of her warmed his heart, and he could see her in his mind, just the same as if he were with her. He asked the rose, "Rose, I can't find what I'm searching for. Can you help?" The rose replied, "You have already found it. Sometimes we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture." The rose vanished. The little prince opened his eyes and noticed they were floating by his yellow plane again. "Wait a minute, we are floating in a circle, Fox, and a circle is the same shape as a..." Suddenly, the moat started glowing a beautiful blue. The whole rest dissolved into nothingness, revealing the hot yellow rays of the sun. The sun's rays dissolved the hard crust that lay inside the borders of a once moat, now gigantic whole note. The little prince and red fox saw that this was the way into the planet. They rowed their boat ashore and ran to the little yellow plain and flew down into the now open planet. When they landed, they noticed the entire planet seemed colorless and frozen in time. Nearby, there was an abandoned cottage. The wind had blown the door open, so they walked in. There was another note left on the table, which the fox read. Now quickly go to my shed and look for my sled. The little prince and red fox went to the shed and found the sled, and they were astounded to find that it was the color. Attached to the sled was an orange envelope that said, The little prince and red fox both looked at each other, and then smiled when they thought of the little yellow plane that they had taken so many adventures in. They ran over to it, carrying the orange envelope and towing the red sled behind them. The fox exclaimed, "Come, little prince, nothing smells as clean as flying through the color green." The little prince and red fox jumped into the cockpit and zoomed up into the trees, which were now blossoming with lush green leaves. The sky was also returning to a vibrant blue. The little prince and red fox decided to land on a little island that was now surrounded by beautiful turquoise water. In the sand was written, both the little prince and the red fox. "Arr, you read the clue right, you scurvy land lovers. Me name is Captain Clef, ruled me the 7 seas of the planet of music me whole life. Aye, the seas were being filled with the most beautiful music you would e'er hear. Then there would be fighting between the instruments. Yar, all thought the star they were. The brawl caused our beautiful rainbow harmony to fall flat, and the conductor to flee like a scabby sea bass. My boat were being swept up and marooned me and me crew. I be hoping for a rescue off this forsaken island. Arr!"
His eyes look up at the
Indigo and Violet. Keep them in a cage, or deserters like that scallywag of a conductor they'd be, snarled the pirate. Then his anger turned to tears. The fox and the little prince's hearts became light as they knew these two parrots were the last of the colors they needed to collect. But how would they convince this very sad pirate to free them? The fox, being very wise, whispered to the little prince, "The easiest way to befriend someone is tell them you like their shoes. It works every time." The little prince thought about this to be the oddest thing he had ever heard. However, he did look down at Captain Clef's boots and noticed they were indeed quite fancy. They were made of golden snakeskins that would sparkle if the sun fully returned. The little prince decided to give it a shot. "Excuse me, Captain Clef, I couldn't help but notice how impressive your snakeskin boots are. I bet they shine brightly in the warm glow of the sun." "Aye, you noticed my boots, eh? These were a gift from the greatest pirate of them all, Captain Golden Snake. Retired he did and shed his golden skin to black and set out on adventures in new lands across the universe." Suggested, "Captain Clef, how would you feel about bringing your parrots, Indigo and Violet, onto our plane, and we will take you off this island? You will need to leave the cage behind as there is no room for all on our tiny yellow plane." Captain Clef considered and accepted the offer. The little prince, Red and Fox, and now not so sad pirate, and his two parrots, Indigo and Violet, squeezed into the little yellow plane. With that, they took off into the sky. As they gained altitude, all the objects they had collected started to paint the sky with a beautiful rainbow. And something both magical and musical started to happen. The appearance of red, orange, and yellow awoke the sound of the mighty but sweet cello. Next, green and blue brought the violin melody so true. Finally, Indigo and Violet were set free from the pirate to join in the beautiful symphony. Just then, the little prince felt inspired and asked Captain Clef to take the controls. He reached into the wooden flute that had once sounded so high and shrill. played a melody so sweet it brought the rest of the flutes to their feet. The secret, you see, to a great symphony is not always music that is played with the best technique or skill, but that which is played in a way which makes your heart fill, said the fox. The little prince knows his friend is always so wise, and he is thankful for him and all the great lessons of life that he has learned. The little prince spoke. I think I finally understand. The real beauty of music is not what can be seen, but what can be felt with the heart. And with that, the little prince, wise fox, and not-so-sad pirate flew off into the sunset on their way to their next adventure. We can now have a seat and we'll get ready for dismissal. The time is exactly 3:10.